Hey guys, Type here bringing you a 1v1 today. We are on Mill Road. Life today spawning in the south. We have Killa playing as Ostheer. Story away going for Mechanized Assault. Selfie in the north. We have Kobal playing as Brits, who has advanced emplacements. Killa, I believe, used to go by the name Use M246. Top 10 at the moment. And fourth? No, every faction. Kobal, meanwhile, rank 4 as Brits. But yeah, Chinese player, I believe. Use M246. A bunch of wire coming down here. Can build wire with your infantry sections, part of the boosts from advanced emplacements. No assault grenadiers yet, but do often see them third. Do have sprints available immediately now after the patch. Just it costs a boatload of munitions.
New universal carrier ready for use.
Gets cheap after Battle Phase 1 again. 3 sections into UC for Kobal so far. It's pretty standard build order. Yes, indeed. Here come the assault grenadiers now. Wire from Kobal. Full advantage of those advanced emplacement kits. Sections come in with a bit of a flank, but they themselves get flanked by the pioneers. Universal carrier coming into the centre. MG spins around for that section. They retreat at a reasonable timing. Be interesting to see if Kobal goes for med kits on these sections or medics. Universal carrier about to pop the Vickers upgrade. And this will boost its DPS by a considerable amount. Interesting usage of the sprint there, 20 munis. So grenadiers come in on the rear of the universal carrier here.
An engineer unit is ready for action.
You see it's a little bit low, but still reasonable. Poe's out on the field at the moment, so not back here to build the tier 2. It'll be relatively slow. Ooh, that was a very close call. It was nearly a Faust. Kobal playing with fire. Oh boy, and there's the Faust, and that's the end of the UC. Have to just be so careful with the UC up against those grenadiers, man. They just have such a long range snare, especially in conjunction with that bulletin. Ouch. That's really bad news for Kobal early, losing a universal carrier like that. Big setback. Taking AEC. Sits inside the building, but getting extremely low. Jumping out for a retreat. So Grenadiers trying to bleed as many models as they can on retreat. And they pick them almost all off. Last model would be close to full health, I would say, on that. So there's max bleed for Killa. AC coming through for Kobal. This is one of the harder maps, I'd say, to play just 180 tank gun style on. If you're up against a light vehicle from your opponent. It's like all these shot blockers through the centre and side blockers, as well as being quite a large map for 1v1. Which is why I did mention that in my guide about the mobile assault build. It's just, yeah, I found this map quite challenging if I didn't get the AC on it. And especially it would be more challenging with that Kobal strategy. He only has one engineer for snares, for mine planting. Ramps things up a bit in terms of difficulty. Killer stand production on the 222, but is a touch late Already has, enough resources for a second 222 in reserve. Got a ring around the rosy here on the cutoff area. Not going to go terribly well for Kobal. A lot of squads in the vicinity. So yeah, the last 2 or so minutes since Kobal lost that universal carrier have been quite a struggle. Machine gun now for Kobal. AC on the field. Pack coming in for killa. So we're sprinting in. Our sprint costs 10 instead of 20. AC doing a bit of damage, but not really getting any bleed done. Do have medics back here as well, so if they're not getting those model drops, it doesn't really count for too much. But no pack build time bulletin for killa, so it does take quite a while for that to produce. I do think that is quite a good bulletin. Oh, got a rear armor damage on the AEC. AEC spins around. Gets a couple shots on. AEC obviously dominates the matchup, especially if its frontal armor is facing the right direction. But Kobal not diving in, doesn't want to risk running into a Faust or a pack. Playing it safe. And bolster text now from Kobal, fully reinforced all of the sections and with the med kits as well. So this is when he can start to fight back. He was kind of getting bullied by that LMG Grenadier squad, but now with the bolster, he's in a good position. 4th Grenadier coming in at this stage for killa. It's an interesting choice. You have, loads of options at this stage. A second machine gun, a sniper, extra Grenadier. Decides to go for the Grenadier though. Probably the worst option against the Vickers. So maybe Kobal can get some nice Vickers value here. This building is actually pretty strong to chuck a machine gun in.
Enemy causing trouble, trying to take one of our points.
Maybe a little bit stronger from the left-hand side than the right, but if you're getting a little bit aggressive, this is a pretty good arc of fire facing out this direction. I do jump into this building very often with my machine guns. Small but impactful, that building. An easy retreat there from the assault grenadiers. Section getting chased away. Goes for a mortar. Cancel that grenadier. Late cancel. Good awareness from killa. Not playing into the Vickers. And here come the mortar shells. Officer coming in for Kobal now. Jumping into the building with the machine gun. Question is, what does Kobal go for next as well? All these models are standing in front of the heavy cover here, so bad model positioning there for Kobal. Going forwards, but the pack is there. Setting up. AC backs away, and the pack misses its shot. Pretty even split on the map at the moment, but a slight munitions edge to killa. So managed to get some sandbags down up here. Bolster section might be able to win that after charging in. 222's heading up there though to swing that in killa's favour. So the officer came forwards, dropped some artillery on that building. We'll flush out the machine gun. Only one howitzer though. Grenadier did end up retreating, but now we've got the LMG Grenadier up there. We've also got the AC up there. Not getting too close, doesn't want to risk the Faust. Pack's still in the centre, but rotating up to the north now. That does allow Kobal to win the infantry engagement and probably complete the munitions capture. Which is good because he's a little bit low on munitions at the moment. He wants to get those Brens going. Gonna need a little bit more in reserve. Do have a hold the line in this commander these days as well. But That's quite a hard ability to use in 1v1. Oh, model inside the capture circle died. A little bit unfortunate. Gets the neutralize at least. Another section getting too low to stay in here. The Vickers upgraded on the officer. It manages to drop the artillery there. Again.
They're trying to take it.
And now the anti-tank comes from Kobal. Okay, interesting. I suppose getting close to the medium tank phase. Battle phase 2 coming through for Killa, and not too far away from the tank in terms of fuel.
We are losing a sector.
But pretty mobile play with the AEC so far. Hasn't really like chased down or threatened the 222 that much. They're just, you know, rotating from side to side, avoiding the pack quite nicely, and managing to find damage very frequently with it. Definitely getting pretty good value on the AEC in spite of that pack. Now using that to cap up the bottom. Section getting barraged here. Green's looking for the Faust, unsuccessful. Pack facing off this direction, but Kobal hiding behind the shot blocker. Pack advancing. Might be able to get a shot or two off here. Oh, the Faust connecting too. Goes for an attack ground, hoping it'll scatter along, does not. Bit of a lucky break from Kobal. Maybe he was intending to back through this channel, came through the center instead. Nearly cost him his AC.
Enemy forces are securing
4 kills already for that mortar. Surprised it's not Vet 1. And this, I think, the second time Kobal's been stuffed by the assault grenadiers charging in and jamming the neutralizer on the cutoff.
The enemy is taking our territory.
Kobal, though, does have a reasonable VP lead at this stage. He's had a pretty much complete lockdown on the bottom VP. So managing to close the distance on the grenadiers. Luckily, they're not Vet 2 yet, so that didn't go too poorly for the officer. But the squad is, and that's a fast retreat from Kobal. I'm going to take the risk. AEC coming down here, looking to soften them up. Pack still camped in the center, hasn't been terribly mobile with it. It's kind of just been sitting in the center, reacting to where Kobal goes, not trying to position it and preempt where the AEC is going to appear.
What next?
Here comes the 222. I wonder if it spotted the mines getting planted there.
Enemy causing trouble, trying to take one of our points.
And there goes the AEC. Okay, now I've got the Bren starting to come through for Kobal. One squad with double Brens, I think. I generally think with sections it's better to go like straight to double Brens. As riflemen, sometimes you want like 1 bar on each squad. Sections, you know, since they can't run and gun, kind of better to have them as like all long range or slightly more mobile. Plus then you don't have to worry about going back later and picking it up. Which squad has 2, which squad has 1. Mortar pit down though from Kobal. Can build those of course with the sections, the advanced emplacements commander. I did talk about how much I like the mortar pit. Very powerful tool as Brits. Kobal looking to set up for a long, patient game. Do have the Panzer IV out. AT gun pushing through the center though. Killa stopping at an interesting spot. Might take a second hit. And does. Penetrates both of them. Machine gun setting up in the center though. Do have the mortar pit barraging away though. And the officer charging in, maybe looking to drop some artillery as well. Gives up on that attempt. AT gun does get quite low, but not at risk getting decrewed immediately. 222 pushing in. Grenadiers trying to crawl in range for the Faust, and they're going to get it off here as well. And here comes the pack from Killa also. Decides to disengage. The mine got triggered already. Another mine down here from Kobal. Very important to mine up all the entrances to your mortar pit. Try and keep it as safe as possible. Hasn't upgraded the second mortar on that quite yet though. Looks like Kobal trying to save some manpower. Get a tank out himself. I imagine it's going to be the Cromwell. Meanwhile, back the other way, Killa going for the Strug E, which is a bit of a surprise. Good hit from it there. 6 pounders in a nice position though. Very conservative with the P4 pushing in now. AC didn't back all the way out. The AT gun is quite low in health. 2 LMG bursts from like a Vet 2 Grenadier. It's at risk of getting decrewed. Might pay to send that back for some reinforcements. Floating some shots from the Struggy. One advantage of it, you know, can hide behind some of these shot blockers and go for attack rounds over the top of them. That's a very long range, even if it doesn't have the best damage. Cromwell coming in for Kobal though. Healing up the team weapons here with these sections on the front line. Now the mortar coming in for Killa, up to Vet 2 on that already. Smoke into the center, interesting choice. Do have smoke available in the Strug E as well. Strug E though, going for the team weapons. Cromwell gets the first shot in on the Panzer IV. Doesn't chase any further though. Quite a few units back here. It's a good idea not to. That being said, Kobal doesn't have the upgrade on the Cromwell yet, so maybe wouldn't have even seen a couple of those units back there. Doesn't have the sight boost from Panzer Commander or Tank Commander. Okay, so smoking out the center in a big way. Looks like Kobal has upgraded the second mortar on the mortar pit. And hiding nicely with the Cromwell behind this shot blocker again. This pack hasn't been super effective for Killa so far. It's facing the wrong direction here. Cromwell getting 2 good shots on, and then the Panzer IV not getting any return fire. Go Vet 1 on the mortar pit. So the Cromwell heading down to the bottom, looking for the Strug E. It's just an all-out battle for the center now. But I feel like the mortar pit is a very strong tool in this kind of fight. Okay, pack shot connecting. Grenadier is extremely low, but do survive. Here comes the Panzer IV. Anti-tank gun heading back to base at the moment, and a Panzerfaust connects on the Cromwell. Panzer IV staying in the north, not looking to dive in and get anything going. Only 1 engineer for repairs at the moment for Kobal, so a little bit hard pressed sometimes, and he's going to go for a second Cromwell here. It's an interesting choice. You see coming in for a couple hits, slowly vetting that up. But again, the pack not quite with the angle to get any damage done there. Interesting. You know, oh, okay, phosphorus coming down. I think that's a function of the fast emplacements, right? And it's smoking out the center, not hitting too much though.
There's a rather splendid Cromwell.
It's relatively cheap, and I suppose that kind of does alleviate the need for the heavy barrage. P4 coming through. Takes a hit. So maybe this is... Oh boy, oh boy. And there goes the AEC. This time the pack in a nice position. Gets the job done. Oh, well, we got the Cromwell coming in from the north. I think this is the fresh one. And that takes down the 222. Not as good as knocking out the AEC, but you know, that sight through the center can be a real nuisance. So knocking that out is still very impactful. Now we've got double Cromwells in the center. And some pretty nice bleed going as well. We did actually see, somewhat weirdly, P-Greens with the Shreks. They're very popular at this level of play. Most players go for the second anti-tank gun instead. T-gun popping the rapid maneuvers, trying to get away to safety. Cromwell going in for a bit of crush action. The pack doesn't manage to get a shot off. So late cancel on the Faust because it wasn't going to get the engine damage. Now Kobal digging in with the trench on the bottom VP as well. Guessing Killer trying to save for the Tiger. There's quite a lot of resources free at the moment. Hasn't gone Battle Phase 3 yet though, so maybe not. But yeah, it's an interesting choice to go for the P-Green Shreks. Generally not a huge fan of them in 1v1s, but they can be quite nice if you can get the P-Greens down the bottom and then the Shreks do a lot of damage to the mortar pit, whereas anti-tank guns, you know, if you try to push your anti-tank gun this far forwards to start blasting away at the mortar pit, it's probably going to get killed on retreat. Hard to get away safely, whereas the P-Greens can just hit the retreat button. Much safer option. Good damage onto the Cromwell there. They're doing alright, and Kobal holding on to the center currently. Oh, that sounded like a heavy barrage to me, so has gone for Anvil now, second. And getting a second anti-tank gun now as well. Interesting choice, maybe expecting the Tiger, but we can see Killer still quite far away from that. Second anti-tank gun now for Killer as well, so it's really ramping up the amount of anti-tank they've got. That could mean that some of these medium tanks will be going down quick. But this is quite an aggressive push here from Kobal, getting right next to the Ostheer base with that Cromwell. Zero kills so far for the Strug E. Pulling in the recon plane from the officer, checking the lay of the land. Very good idea. If you've got it, then you can lay up some barrages on your mortar pit, perhaps. In this case, heavy barrage does have a very long cooldown, so wasn't available to barrage quite yet. But Killer biding his time. Battle Phase 3 is complete, so yeah, it looks like it's going to be the Tiger. Wow, Kobal's getting pretty good luck on these Cromwell pins at the moment, doing well against the Panzer IV. Also back for some more repairs. And Killer, once he gets enough resources for the Tiger, he's not going to have room for it. The extra squad of P-Green Shreks kind of just boxing out his pop cap enough that he can't squeeze it into his composition. So he's going to have to make a choice. There we go, the heavy barrage coming in
Capture point.
for the decrew on the Ostheer mortar. Does not get it. Pretty good heavy barrage nonetheless.
Wireless intercept. They still have 300 points remaining.
Smoke is on a separate cooldown to the other barrages, so even though the mortar pit's auto fire won't be terribly useful, once this heavy barrage is worn off, can still make use of it in a smoking roll. Okay, 6-pounder's in a nice position. Here comes the pack. Gets a shot through. Has not reinforced any units back here, maybe hoping to squeeze in the Tiger. Need to drop a couple more models though for that to happen. Green Chicks heading in. Got the trench over here. Stuggy opening up on it. Attack ground from the anti-tank gun back the other direction. Shrek's just getting bled too hard. Cromwell doing a good amount of damage, and so did the section inside the trench. So it's kind of the disadvantage ultimately of those handheld anti-tank weapons. You know, you have to get so close with them. You end up taking quite a lot of bleed. And now a Ford assembly out the back from Kobal, upgraded with the repairs. I guess that means he can maybe even get by with just the one Royal Engineer in this composition. He's also pretty close to the pop cap limit. Can't really afford any vehicles at the moment, except for maybe the Centaur. T-gun in a nice position for Kobal, threatening the snare with the heavy engineers. But Tiger's out now for killer. Oh, that was a big hit from the mortar pit with the heavy barrage. Oh, sent back. Good hit there from the Stug E. Cromwell coming in from the other angle though. Killer in an awkward position. MG Grandies do force back the 6-pounder down the bottom here. The one is coming in from the north though. Pack in quite an exposed position, getting lit up by the squad inside the trench. And the pack is quite low now. Oh! A squad down. Not quite. No, maybe Grandies down. He had 3 of them at one stage, right? Oh! Very lucky that that pack survived there. Wouldn't want to lose the veterancy on that. So close to Vet 3 now. Briefly exposing itself through the centre. Good attack ground action there from Kobal. Dropping in some light artillery on the trench. Squad jumps out of it though. Doesn't take very much damage. And Kobal overall just not really bleeding much manpower at the moment. These squads again and again getting away, half health but full models. So he's barely losing any manpower currently. So he's pulling a pretty good lead on model counts at the moment. And he's pulled out a pretty good VP lead as well. Strained maybe 120 from Killer recently. Killer kind of needs to save, wait for another light artillery barrage, maybe with a bit more munitions in reserve.
Damned enemies trying to take a point from us.
He needs to drop that on one of these anti-tank guns if he wants to get something going. Recon plane flying through for Killer. And now for Kobal. He's dropping the heavy barrage. Something you need to watch out for is those recon planes. You can expect something's going to start getting barraged after one comes through. You can take an educated guess on what it's going to be. In this case, it was on the repairs, but could have been the MG42 as well. There's a 4 down the bottom here, not full health, but does have the skirts now with the extra armor. Going through the center, Tiger facing the wrong direction. Tiger's armor holding up for the moment. I get the anti-tank grenade off. Oh, and it's just enough damage to result in the engine damage as well. In a nice position with this anti-tank gun though. Oh boy, it looks like Killa getting overwhelmed at the moment. Very slow reaction to the Panzer IV. Good charge forward through the center, and there goes the assault grenadiers. So Killa just inch by inch losing his infantry. Does free up some room maybe for Killa to go for something like a Panzerwerfer. Oh, he hasn't put down tier 4 yet. You know, if you're close to your pop cap limit, like Killa is in this scenario, and you've got some resources floating, you know, he was basically at 100 before, you might as well put down your tier 4 so you can get those reinforcement cost reductions. And then, you know, it opens up the options if you want to go for a different unit later on as well. Such as the Werfer. And, make that investment now. So you can reap the benefits. Second anti-tank gun for Killa. Oh, didn't he build a second one before? Or did he cancel that? I don't think I saw one get decrewed and killed, but I might have missed it.
New anti-tank gun has arrived.
Double AT guns now. Kobal also floating a huge amount of resources, but as I said, doesn't have much. Could go for another forward assembly with the repairs, I suppose. I think I didn't have those repairs open. Of course, should go for more Royal Engineers at this stage, because it doesn't have too many mines down at the moment. Getting a few more down the bottom now, but here come the P-Greens again. Missing both their Shreks. Kobal just really digging in with the trenches. Double Cromwell swarming down the bottom. Tiger, meanwhile, getting something going up in the north. We've got the highly vetted anti-tank gun up here, is dodging this mine for the moment. Double mines there, in fact. Strugi coming through as well. Found holding up for the moment. It's done a pretty good job of surviving. Tiger doesn't have the machine gun upgrade, which is a large part of the reason why it didn't go down earlier. And here come the Cromwells now, swarming in. Tiger's quite low. Panzer IV is nearby though. So are the Grenadiers. He's popping the Faust. He's also popping the Hunt on the Cromwell. And the Shreks there and abandoned on the Cromwell. Artillery officer, I think, threw out some artillery in the centre there. Pushing back the Ostheer team weapons. Comes his second Cromwell. Maybe looking to finish off the decrewed tank, but can't get it done. Pretty good hit on the Tiger though as it backed away. Got a couple infantry sections up here. And the anti-tank gun. The other one's been recrewed now, and looks like that frees up a bit of pop cap for Kobal to go for the Firefly. Even mortar barrage going after the Ostheer mortar, but it does survive again. This time extremely low. And Killa does have the option here of getting everything up to full strength, pairing this up, and then going above 100 pop cap. And making a bit of a push while that's possible. Be quite strong. But yeah, I really think that Tiger needs the machine gun upgrade. I'm shocked that he hasn't gone for it. It was a big factor in why it took so long to decrew that anti-tank gun just before.
Are securing our territory.
Going through the center. I thought he might pop off some smoke here to cover the capture. Double tank guns lining up. Kobal, conservative, backs away very early on. Tiger's up to full strength. There goes the decrewed Cromwell. Got the Firefly up here. He's got the tulip rockets on that as well. It's a nice hit long range there. Must have been pretty much max range. He has the smoke out now. I think that's from the mortar pit. Ooh, Firefly. Careful with those double packs right there. Speaking of double anti-tank guns, they're coming through the center for Kobal. And Killa just having trouble keeping his tanks healthy at the moment. Taking so much damage on them. Now I've got the heavy barrage coming through on the machine gun in the center. Slowly Killa just bleeding. Losing a little bit of territory here and there. Struggy getting a good hit in there finally. That's again where the Tiger misses the machine gun. You know, the main gun keeps missing, and then you don't have that consistent DPS on the pintle upgrade. Now that squad to chase him much further than they ordinarily would be able to. Would be maybe a good idea to get another Fort Assembly like back over here somewhere. Just for like the reinforcements could be quite strong for Kobal at the moment since it's got so many resources floating. But he's looking to be very strong. I wonder how long Killa can remain patient under this kind of pressure. Looks like he's also trying to go for a forward reinforcement from the command bunker. He's getting hit though by the British base howitzers at the moment. Might not survive. And the Firefly actually been quite good so far. Landing a lot of its hits. Ooh, it takes a big volley from the packs. Tiger popping the blitz. Hoping to finish off the Firefly, I think. Coming around the corner, there's a lot of anti-tank gun facing up here. Oh, but gets the decro on the anti-tank gun straight away. Tulip rockets, there goes the Tiger. And Panzer IV runs over the double mines that were right there. And there it goes. Ill-considered push for Killa, reckless. Hold the line activated for Kobal. Probably going to target this squad side the trench here. Mortar though, getting a nasty bit of damage done on those P-greens through the center. Here come the hold the line planes, and there go infantry. Stayed inside that territory for far too long. Those planes do take quite a long time to come through, but when they do, they hit hard, especially against two low health squads like that. Now Kobal going for the Churchill, looking to seal the game here. You can really see the strength of that officer, just being able to throw out the base howitzer fire like that.
Our opponents are seizing a sector.
Well, doing a bit of a flank. Oh, but triggers a Telemine back there. Double packs are there, but they're right next to each other. In an awkward position. Striggy in some trouble, could pop off the heat shell here. No heat shell. Oh no. And there goes the Striggy. Cromwell also falling. Kobal quite far in the lead at the moment. Killa, I think, was trying to stall for another Tiger, but It's still a very long way off and decides to just throw in the towel here. So yeah, very patient style from Kobal, just sitting back, letting the mortar pit, to just consistently bleed. Killa just consistently also running into the Firefly anti-tank gun combo. Causes tanks to be damaged almost all the time. And Kobal winning the war of attrition with the trenches down, covering the VPs. Grinding out Killa. Tough style to play against here, I would say, for Killa. And Kobal, accelerating his lead in the late game, I'd say. Though the KD actually didn't get that much better for him. But also showing off the strength of that long-range artillery call-in from the officer makes Anvil a lot more appealing now as an option. So, yeah, GG. This is a strong build for Brits with the repairs from the assembly, making up for the fact you've only got one engineer. Kobal showing us maybe a good option if you want to hit the top of the leaderboards. Anyway, guys, wrap on that. If you like your game to be cast by me, details are in the video description below. Otherwise, I'll catch you for the next thrilling installment. Goodbye and good luck.